and welcome back to VCT Game Changers, ladies and gents, where we are heading into the second quarterfinals of the day. I'm Yingsu, and with me are your casters, Jess and Vansili. Jess, how ready are you for another match? Hopefully one that is a little bit closer than the last one we had.
I actually think this one will be closer. If you were just tuning into the C9 White thrashing that they just gave to Frogs, don't worry, that won't be the trend throughout the rest of the bracket. I promise you, it just so happened that with the seeding, that naturally happens in the earlier rounds.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a close match too, but it depends what maps we're going to have looking at this, right? Because if I'm comparing the history of these two teams, it seems as though CLG Red might have a little deeper mapper pool than their opponents.
Well, they do. Actually, let's talk about these two teams. CLG Red versus OWA OWA is the second quarter final. Again, double elim, so the loser is not out today. But just kick us off with CLG Red. Who are these ladies and how did they get here?
Well, a lot of people have been a little bit unbeknownst to what the roster is, because if you look them up on Liquipedia, like, they've only got a 3-woman team. What's going on here? Don't worry, that's just not been fully filled out. I think it's Benita, Naomi, Rise, Turbo, and Annie, and I believe that they've been throwing around different roster compositions as of really, really recently as well. So you've got to give them some time. And Benita is the captain as of March 15th, I think, which is like 2 weeks ago. So for me at the moment, I'm not saying they're a new team by any means, but they have gone through some changes. They have been known to be one of the strongest teams in their region. How do they fare now with recent changes? I don't know.
Yeah, even looking at this roster for CLG, I mean, I know Benita from way back as well, being like an old school 1.6 player, and also being at the helm when I was talking about the era of those tournaments. When you think about the SK Ladies or EG or whatever, Benita is one of those players that were also that was also into like those ESWC championships and winning those titles too. So she's a seasoned vet going into tactical shooters. So her being the captain, her potentially being also the in-game leader, also has that experience and knows the players that she has to pick up going into this. So even if it's a roster that only has 3 players currently officially, and the other 2 are or tryouts or coming in to help out, you see how good they've been looking at the results in the past VCT Challengers qualifiers coming up to today. Again, another one of those teams that are undefeated into moving into today, and at the same time also getting a lot of victories that are very one-sided in their favor.
What about OWA OWA then on the other side, Vansili? Who are these ladies? And again, the disparity is a little bit smaller here than the first quarterfinal.
OWA OWA for me is, or let's start at least once. OWA OWA for me, or actually like a very cool roster. I mean, it's nice to experience it. They have 3 players that are coming in from like the Gen G side. It's professional players for Gen G, and they also have a situation when they have 2 players coming into this one. Outside of that, when you're looking at their history or whatnot, you don't have much, right? But one thing I could say is that looking at their roster, looking at how things change, looking at the tendencies, I would like to say that they're a good team that's able to adapt. Because looking back at compositions or their map pool, they really only play like Bind or Ascent, right? And when you look at Bind, for example, they've played it 6 times and 3 compositions in those 6 times. That means that every time they lose a map, they study. They want to know what's going on. They want to know what they could fix. And then they'll change an agent composition, maybe just 1 player, 1 agent, and then boom, it's a victory. We'll see if it works, continue to work with that roster, and or at least that composition until it doesn't work anymore, and figure out something new again.
Yeah, I have to point out the fact as well that the only recent loss they've had, and this was in the qualifiers, of course, was against Cloud9 White. Otherwise, it looks like a 2-0, a 2-0, a 2-0, a forfeit win. I mean, for the most part, their win-loss has been quite good recently. And to lose to Cloud9 White in such a dominating fashion, do we really put a lot of stock in that at the moment, considering what we just saw? Maybe not, maybe not. Maybe they're working their way up to it. So I'm a little bit cautious about turning around and saying, well, yeah, they're looking okay, but for OWA OWA, I think they will be a good challenge to CLG Red.
I do like the point you brought up, Vansili, in terms of the map pool, because I'm personally a little bit concerned, because if you're just showing Bind and Ascend for these two, for this team even, oh, well, there we go. Here is the map picks as well, the picks and bans. We are going to see Ascent, Icebox, and Haven, of course. Only one of those maps has been played by OWA OWA in the qualifiers and this competition.
Yeah.
I'm not confident.
If I'm looking at this quickly, I'm pretty sure Icebox that says selected by OWA OWA would probably be selected by CLG Red here at this point, because CLG Red, that has been the map that they've played the most. Of course, I've mentioned about a deep map pool where they've been victorious in every single one of their matches, but they've played the most on Icebox. And, you know, Icebox, when you hear that name, it's one of those scary ones of, oh my god, it's a new map. Oh my god, they made some changes.
Yeah.
We don't really know how to play this right now. Is it going to be the set plays going into the site that's going to work out? It's going to be the retake play on the defender side that's going to win the rounds for us, win the series? Or is it going to be like an aggressive Reyna for one of the players to actually win the rounds for us? It's still there's still so many question marks going into this map. So I think CLG really wants to take that curveball and surprise their opponents by choosing this map all the time.
You sure? Are you sure? Are you certain?
I like to say so. I'm going to look back and see if they actually picked the map or not.
If we can get a confirmation of that, I'll be a little bit more certain, because for me, there's a little bit, especially as an ex-professional coach myself, there's a little part of me deep inside that goes, don't play the map you're the best at. Don't do it, because there's a plethora of VODs to go through. If we're going to be predictable, let's not do it, because a half-decent team will read into that really quickly. There have been changes, so how much of those changes can you really lean on?
Yeah.
You've got to change up something, and that's going to depend on the adaptability of the team. And actually, CLG Red's been forced into adaptability through changes, so actually they're in a good spot, realistically.
Yeah, and there you go. So it's CLG Red that actually did pick the map. So they are going to pick Icebox at this point. There is potential that there's a lot of footage going into that too. But I think right now, when you look at the tendencies of these teams right now playing into Valorant, they kind of want to just play their own game too. If teams are able to catch up, perfect. We'll be better next time, but we still feel that we're comfortable enough on that very map. It's our homegrown map. It's going to be our map. It's kind of like looking at Counter-Strike, for example, too. It's like, I'm always going to pick that certain map if I'm a certain team, because I'm the best on that map and nobody could beat me at that. And you could run in with that confidence for CLG Red too.
I mean, for OWA OWA, right, they've only played Bind in the sense. So even if CLG is the most prepared team on the planet and they have every game plan under the sun, they don't know what they're expecting. We don't know what we're expecting. But fortunately on Ascent, this is where, you know, we're a little bit more familiar. Of course, CLG have the more favorable in terms of like win rate. But OWA OWA do play Astra, Jess. I don't know if they play on Ascent, but they definitely do like running this new agent, who is pretty lethal.
I think
I'm very sorry, guys. Production just
yes,
talking to
that's
us.
That's why
so
we went all very
Jess
silent. I was like, hang on a second.
I was going to say, don't.
You
I
were
think
saying?
Jess is just so deep into thought about Astra. She's like, I
thought she was checking her hair too. I was like, yeah, your hair is perfect. Your hair is perfect.
I'm in the actual atmosphere right now, sort of thinking about how that answer I was going to do. I was actually looking at the percentages of the compositions that they play on this particular map, and then production was letting me know that unfortunately one of the players is not in the lobby. So I'm like, that's all right. You give me a little bit of time to talk about the fact that they usually run, I don't know, they got the Cypher, they got the Sova, they got the Jet. Sometimes they'll run the Astra, and most of the time they'll win a highest percentage rating with the Astra in the composition. So for me, yes, to answer your question there, Yinsu, I do believe with Astra on their composition, they'll do very, very well. That'll depend if they bring it today, though.
I am a big fan of Astra as well, but as Jess just briefly mentioned, we are experiencing a slight delay, just waiting for one of the players to be able to get back into the lobby. So we're going to go to a quick break right now, but don't go anywhere, because after the break, CLG Red will be taking on OWA OWA on Ascent. welcome back to VCT Game Changers. I'm Yingsu and this is Vansili and Jess. Hope you guys missed us, you know, with that long break. Jess, you managed to catch up on some snacks, but we do have a snack for you guys now, which is CLG Red versus OWA OWA. And now before the break, we were talking about certain agent compositions, Vansili, and you didn't get a chance to weigh in on the Astra debate. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, no, I think Astra is going to be an agent that they're going to pull out right now for OWA OWA. I think looking at the qualifiers and look at the match histories, that's what I've seen for the agent composition. I want to know what it's going to look like on the Icebox though, right? Because again, it's not a map that they play, so we want to know how prepared they'd be or how they use Astra on a map like this. And I think if they actually use Astra on Icebox, it could be a very interesting one. I mean, because of the verticality, because of how much height there is into this map, you could definitely get a lot out of Astra on that very map.
You do say that OWA OWA doesn't really have a background on Icebox, but I did a little bit of digging because I was really curious as to why OWA OWA didn't really have a lot of map backing to it. I was like, why can't I find what I'm looking for when it comes to OWA OWA? I am a superior analyst. I should be able to find. I dug deep enough. I did. Dug deep enough throughout all of the records. They played Icebox once against Vixens. They beat them 13-7. Just saying. Do you want to know what the composition was?
It was in group.
Go for it.
Go
for it.
All right. Yep. Jet. Who else we got? Looking at the tiny little icon here on my little zoomed up thing. Astra. They brought in Astra. Astra didn't do the best, I don't think, but still had quite an impact nevertheless. What have we got? A Raze, a Sage,
and a Breach.
There you go.
Yeah,
so they
right.
did manage to play it, yeah.
I did have it in my notes after all, so I don't even know why I said no.
I'm not sure if I'm a fan of that composition right off the bat. I'm not gonna lie. I guess the Sage, big fan. I think Sage is a no-brainer on Icebox, and it upsets me when teams don't play Sage on Icebox, just in general. But again, maybe this is an EU thing, but Viper is pretty much a must-have right now, and I think the Viper wall is gonna bring so much more value. And even Astra on that map, I'm not 100% sure, Vansili, if I'm a fan.
Yeah, so I think where I'm a little bit questioning what they have for their composition is having that Breach right now into the comp, right? I think it'll be nice for retakes if you're trying to play a Breach, let's say towards mid or something like that, and it could maybe be I don't know. If I'm going to theory craft, right, on a Breach, if you're flashing towards that B side for retake or you're flashing towards the A side for retake, there's just too much cover on the other side of the map to not be affected by that. But also, it's what I find most important is not having a Silva or not having an initiator like a Sky to be able to get that information like we saw teams do a lot here on this very map. So if I'm looking on the other end for CLG Red, they'll use a Silva. And then they'll be able to work with that too. They don't have a Viper in their composition, but they are going to bring out the Sage technically. They're going to have Benita, who's usually well, she looks like she's going to be a flex player right now in terms of agent because she's going to play Reyna on this map, but usually she's a Silva player, as Chobomi is going to be the one that's going to be playing the Silva for this one too. So the composition head-to-head, I'm going to have to give the edge to CLG Red when you're looking at Icebox. But mechanical-wise, it's still going to be quite even, especially if you look at this head-to-head.
This is a great graphic, actually. Jess, run me through the stats that are standing out to you right now.
Look, they are quite even throughout. I mean, you just look at the numbers and you're looking left, right, as if it's a tennis match right now across the screen. And you can just say to yourself, you know what, these two women, they're pretty damn even. The big thing, however, and both of them, I believe, are the captains for their team, so they're doing pretty damn good. The big thing for me is that Maddie is always the really flashy big hitter for her team. Like if you're going, oh, who do I need to look out for on this team? Maddie's the player. She's the captain. She often does a lot of the calls as well. And then she makes the kills happen. And she happens to be flashy as well. Mind you, there's a lot of enablers on her team that enable her to do that. So I don't want to say she's a one-man, or one-woman army, rather. I think she's enabled by a lot of her teammates. It just so happens she's flashy while she does it as well.
And actually, if I look at back as well, as if Madison, she's mainly a Jet or like a Phoenix, so mainly a duelist right now for this team. And if you're looking at, again, Icebox, when you're gonna have a Breach in there too. What's most common with a Breach and also a Jet? It's the flash and dash, the one that we always talk about too. That could be something that could be very potent. So I'm not I'm not discrediting the agent composition that they will use for OWA OWA on this map. They could put something that we haven't seen yet, right? And that it's something new that we could learn too, that could prove to be very effective for this roster versus CLG Red. I'm talking about Icebox a lot because if you're looking at the other one for Ascent, I mean, they've played it a lot too for both of these teams, but I think I might still have to give that upper hand to CLG Red, so they have to come up with an upset here for Icebox.
Well, let's talk about Ascent a little bit, Jess.
Yeah,
any thoughts on this first map?
That's what I wanted to speak about, because we were talking about the fact that you're yapping on about Icebox. I get it, man. You've got a love affair with Icebox, whatever you got going on there. You know,
I'm icy, man. Ice in my veins.
Oh, please. For all of those who don't know Vansilli, he is one of the nicest people I've ever met. So I really don't think there's ice in the veins. Nevertheless, if we go over and we have a look at Ascent, something I really did want to bring up for the side of CLG Red is when they went up against Iron Maidens, they did what C9 White just did. 13-0 on Ascent. So they're very confident on it. I know for a fact that there are a couple other maps that have been able to pull out 13-0s on as well. So they are confident in getting some really dominant, flawless wins. I hope they don't rely on that, as we saw sort of C9 White do. They only dropped one round in that series. So you don't want to go into that mentality into the future parts of the bracket. For me personally on this map, what I do want to see, however, is just a bit of consistency for both teams. You can 13-0 consistently on this map, or you might go up against Vixens and 13-0 them. Don't come into this matchup against OWA OWA and think that that's going to be the same outcome, because I really don't think it will be.
Yeah, I do believe it's going to be a closer game, sorry.
I have to interject here because this is very important, Vansilli and Jess. I've just had a very interesting message in my ear that the team's name, Vansilli is going to be really upset about this, is actually OWA OWA, not OWA OWA. So our lies have been a lie.
Are we surprised that Vansilli's wrong? Like,
I mean, not in the slightest.
No, we're never surprised, because I don't know if people remember when an analyst test, when I was trying to predict, I was always wrong in that as well. So, I mean, I accept it, but I thought OWA OWA was going to be super cool to say during a broadcast.
Well, it's like an ow. I guess it's like when you're, getting pinched, getting slapped. So it's an OWA OWA. I actually prefer that. I feel like it sounds got a little bit more personality to it. But I also really quickly wanted to reference that head-to-head graphic. I'm going really far back here because I realized that Benita had a 20% first blood percentage rate, and that is honestly astronomical, because I've seen a lot of these stats sort of being compared to each other. And again, like over in Europe, we have like Niso, who's one of the best entry players. I think he's around 22%, 23%, if that. So 20% is huge. And if this player is going to be doing all of the entry work, getting all that first blood as Reina, I'm a little bit scared. I think that's what you have to do as Reina. But I believe the players are kind of getting ready now, so we should be heading into Agent Select any moment now. But Jess, any quick predictions before we head into Ascent?
Oh, I hate to say that I have a deep feeling inside that CLG Red's just going to absolutely rip through OWA OWA, but I want them to show something.
Well, I do as well. We are heading to Agent Select now, as you guys can see. So I'm going to leave you two. Have fun with this one. And I cannot wait to see another Astro map. Woo!
Thank you so much, Yinsu. So we are now getting ready for the Agent Select. We are moving into Ascent as our first map, being picked by OWA OWA. Man, kind of missed that. I don't know, man.
You don't say it as well either. Maybe that's why you don't like it, because I think
it's my three accents. I mean, I'm Vietnamese, French Canadian, and English. So when I'm trying to put all those three together and trying to mesh it into an OWA OWA, OWA. You know?
No,
OWA?
not like hour, like OWA, like a dog.
Oh, like OWA. Like when you stub your toe into the corner of a table, you're like,
but faster. Like a little dog. A sound a little dog would make. OWA OWA.
I did see the referral to look at the video, so I'm definitely gonna have a look at that during our break to check things out. But let's focus here at least on the Agent Select. CLG Red on the defender side, and no surprise as to what we're gonna have around here. And even though Yinsu was talking about like a 20% entry fragging capability for Benita, she plays a Sova on this map. So is she going to be as aggressive? Is she going to be that person that's going to be able to defend so well as that Sova? Or is it mostly here looking at their other maps where she usually plays a Reina? That's my question mark going into this game.
I'd have to agree that I don't expect her to be the one to go in first. I would expect probably maybe Chobo or Naomi to be the ones to try and, you know, edge out that entry, or rather that hold onto side as they're starting on the defense here. You got to avert your eyes over to the right-hand side of the screen where you see the big, you know, animal footprint there. I'm not sure which animal footprint. I hope he gets a dog because OWA is meant to be the whole dog trend. Yeah, they're a big dog, rather than the small dog that I was referencing before. Maddie, she's going to take the jet. Are we surprised, big old flashy Maddie? No, not at all. Carly's going to take Sova as well. There's a Cypher in there as well, and I like Cypher a lot. I come from another game where intel is absolutely key.
100%.
So for me, I'm going to be watching Hannah very carefully.
For sure. And now that we're starting things off, she's even going with a Ghost instead of going for even armor and utilities. So I don't know if it's a tell that they want to be a little bit more aggressive as you're seeing them set up right now towards this B side. So they only have one trap wire looking there. And with this Ghost, I'm assuming she wants to fight down towards this mid side control quite early.
Well, this first round, we've seen how much momentum it can pass into the hands of the defenders or the attackers, and we wanted to see whether that early aggression would play out. It hasn't just yet. I think what they're doing is they're reading out onto where the push is going to happen. I'm loving the split from the defenders here, and you can see so much utility already raining out towards the B side as well. So they've got some of those cams out, and they're prepared for any push. What push it's going to be, though, I think will depend on what kind of pick the attackers can get early on.
What I like, though, at least if you're paying attention to that mini-map, is you already have a wall up from CLG Red. So would this be a call for them to default right now for OWA OWA so that they could just fall back, wait for the wall to thaw up, and go with the flash and dash that you know that Breach and Jet could do here on their side? So they still have Silva lurking towards this B side, could be looking for a recon dart, sell a fake, and there you go. They're actually pinching up for that push. What do they have to defend, though, at this point here, Jess?
I mean, I'm looking over towards A. Is that the Sova? How much utility is left over to deal with this? Okay, maybe looking towards Garden and Tree. Do they have the control that they need for the crossfires? A perfect use of the drone here. But no, it'll cut out early, I believe. I don't really know whether or not they spotted out that intel that they needed. And
look at that.
That's going to mean they have no idea. They've rotated out. This is the wrong decision, Vans.
This is great. Now the flash and dash, you already have the Jet inside the site, and now you're looking for the spike plant to go down for that Astra, so that's going to be Tyree that's going to put that down at the default spot. But Shock Dart's coming up and raining from above. That's two players that are low on HP now for OWA OWA, and CLG Red are coming for the retake. Two of them down towards the hell for OWA OWA. We do have one for the defense on a rotation at the doorway, and that's going to be Chobo Me, but she looks at the wrong corner. First blood is going to be Madison, quickly traded out by Animal, and they're going for that crossfire, which works perfectly here on the attacker side. CLG Red are getting dropped like flies with perfect crossfire and only losing one player. OWA OWA gets the pistol round.
There's two really critical things we have to talk about, Vans. One, the drone would have spotted them out had it have just gone 2 meters forward. Would have known that the push was very likely coming to A, and they had waited the perfect amount of time. It's a game of milliseconds here, right? So that millisecond, they rotate off, they decide to make the call. It's the incorrect one. The retake's almost impossible at that time. They've already got site locked down with crossfires. That's a beautiful representation of a Hell crossfire as well, one that works really well. So I'm glad to see the OWA OWA, they're starting off strong.
Looking very well right now for OWA OWA, right? We were saying how we wanted a very close game, that we thought maybe on paper CLG Red might have the upper hand and have a strong start, but this is definitely a stronger start on the attacker side. And speaking about a strong start on this defense, on this eco round, it's CLG Red looking for this aggression towards that pinch on that B link. And look at that, Hannah using things very well for the cyber cages. Well, first one on the B link, second one in the spawn site, and she pulls back.
This looks like a cat and mouse chase. Look over to your mini-map right now. You can just see a flood of blue like a wave running towards the red, trying to put out the fire. They know that that's what's happening, however. So if you are the defenders of CLG Red and you are blinded as you are, you're going to be absolutely feared for. And that is so much utility just to confirm that there's an entire stack running towards you for the retake. I tell you what, I'm impressed as to what OWA OWA is showing right now. And look at this. Perfect utility usage, post-player positions, post-plan abilities. I mean, oh, I did not expect this out of OWA Vans.
No, it looked very good for them to adapt that fast, right? Seeing how aggressive CLG Red were coming in towards this mid side, and how they're like, okay, well, let's just get into the A site. We know this right now. We've casted C9 White before when they're like, hey, if there's a push somewhere towards Ascent and it's 4 players, then technically the other site might be open, and they knocked perfectly into that door and were able to get into that site to get that plan. So right now, it doesn't look really good here for CLG as they only have 3 kills in total, but at least they have the weapons to work here.
Now will be the true test. We were talking about it before. You can't put too much stock in the pistol round, or when they don't have that full buy round, they do have weapons to work with. And guess what? They don't work. And unfortunately here for the side of OWA OWA, they didn't buy the correct weapons whatsoever. They were made of plastic in this case. And those bullets that I thought hit there absolutely did not get decimated. Pull out the rotate. The right call, Vans? I'm saying yes.
Yeah, and even then, it's a bonus round coming in here for OWA OWA, right? So the wall's going to come up. They're going to have to try to break this quick. You have Astra that's setting down her stuff for Tyree, and there you go, gets broken in. But how can you retaliate now for CLG Red now that you have the weaponry with a Sova that's so low on HP?
Well, at least they're collecting the intel that they need. You saw those stars pop up as well, and that's actually going to be a little bit of a help for the attackers to get on in and get the plant down. Spike, you can hear in the background, is going down very comfortably, and this is what they've been able to do every time. Prioritize the objective, prioritize getting the spike down, and then focus on how they can use their utility towards being able to hold off on the retake. So far, looking strong.
Well, you do see the recon dart coming out. 3 smokes on the staircase, too, and it's Benita that's going to get the first wall bang here for this attempt of a retake. 3 players still alive, make that only 2, and we are still closing in for CLG Red. Both players from OWA OWA, crossfire set up down towards the bolt house, but they're unfortunately getting dropped. Madison keeping things alive, though, on a 1 versus 1, as Animal will finally retaliate, and that was such an expensive round, but at least here for CLG Red, you will potentially get this round. It is going to happen. But again, Jess, it was a very expensive round.
I love that.
Oh.
Yeah, put a little bit of horn at the end just to remind everyone that you're not here to make a bit of a joke out of this. You're actually here to show CLG what you're made of. I love that. I love that.
That's hilarious.
Nevertheless, I think having looked at that round, it wasn't confident enough from CLG Red for me. Like, Maddie was spinning around left, right, and center, making an absolute nuisance all the way to sort of back sight. And had she won that particular last gunfight there, it's all over. It's a 3-0 that we're looking at right now. So it's cutting too close to the wire. And what they need to do is they just need to be a little bit more confident in how they push together. Otherwise, they're just going to consistently take these 1v1s. And speaking of,
the attempt was there. Yeah, exactly. But you mentioned it here, Jess. You said they had to move a little bit more confidently. They did. They tried to go for the wall and then the jiggle peek on the top of the boxes, but unfortunately, it seems as though OWA OWA were ready for that one too, for that push. So that's an early 5-on-3 that also opens up the site. Lots of map control available, but looks like Stephanie unfortunately gets caught off, switching over to her abilities to get knocked down here by CLG Red. So a one-minute advantage as OWA OWA seems to be working towards this A side.
I need a blocking vision.
I love this. I love just watching the Astra and seeing exactly how that's going to play out. And we've got that beautiful picture-in-picture right now to see exactly what the placement of all the attackers and the defenders are. You can see them collecting themselves now, because even though they've got that woman advantage, it really doesn't make a lot of sense to just come rushing onto A. You can read into the fact that one of the defenders is over towards B just in case, and now as they come rushing onto site, there's only 2 to deliver.
Another flash, or should I say just a dash. They fell for the flash. No more there for OWA OWA, but they still make it into the site. Why? Because they had the numbers advantage. The spike will go down, but they're going to get revealed by a recon dart from CLG Red, so that it's at least 1 position away. Rise is trying to take advantage of that, but there's a nice nebula that gets popped off, and now they're trying to spray across as the paranoia came out, and it is going to be Madison that's going to take the upper hand. The shock darts to try to push him out, and it works out. It connects onto Hannah. She falls down, but it's a 3 versus 1, and they still have a Hunter's Fury, not even needed, as Madison will be able to get that frag and make it now 3-1, and this should put CLG Red in a situation where they're going to be low on the economy.
Yeah, beautiful. Bring up the scoreboard as you say that. And I'm looking over to the cash and I'm saying to myself, well, that was a little bit of a flash of a sheriff. Okay, are we going to run the Spectre there? What are we going to run to work with here? Annie says, I want to run something. Everyone else says, yeah, I don't think that's the play. Maybe if you're going to run something, maybe look, we're looking towards the shotguns now as well. This looks like a little bit of a desperate play to see what they can work out for this round. Because if they win this, things look a little bit better economy-wise.
And that is going to be such a thorn in their side, already giving their position away because that wall came up. Are they going to explode right after this? Seems as though so far CLG Red are reacting right away. Frost Orbs on the ground, Owl Drone to come out. But look at this push from CLG Red from the flank.
Oh, this is going to be beautiful. This is going to work out really well, especially if you're looking towards those players. If they do happen to commit to that, looks like they won't. And they're going to go over towards Tree instead, but it doesn't really matter. They don't check their corners, and that's why you do, ladies and gentlemen, because before you know it, there's going to be a gun waiting for you as you come storming on in. Great little flick up to the head there of Chobo, but overall, when you're in a 2v4 like this, Vans, things don't look good.
Definitely, especially with the pistols that they have so far. They were trying to get those ratty corners, and it worked out for a couple of the kills, but in the end, it seems as though OWA OWA will take the advantage of that. So I do like it, though. CLG Red not maybe potentially going for the flank, but I like the fact that they still push two players outside of A long so that they could pick up that orb, so that exactly Naomi could have it into this round.
There you go, and that's the little intricacies of Valorant that you don't always get to see, you know? If you're not watching out for the minimap, you're not aware, okay, are they picking up orb? Are they trying to collect what they can? Are they maybe even just doing a little bit of a jiggle peek, a quick peek to see if anyone is actually standing there? We know that one of the rounds was lost off of really incorrect intel read. So that's as little as this game can be sometimes. And for me right now, the attackers are showing us that this is their playground. I didn't expect it, but I'm pleasantly surprised.
I'm very satisfied so far with the performances that's being shown here by the ladies of OWA OWA. And right now, they're, again, continuing to surprise me by being able to use the utility correctly so that Naomi gets pushed out where she cannot defend towards the A side. She's holding on her own, and the only thing that's trying to stop them right now is utility.
They sent in a drone as well, and that is a missed position from Rise there. Hannah gets a bit of a freebie, and they do commit to the A overall. That's going to be a beautiful Astra start over towards, and a Killjoy, a lockdown as well. This is going to be perfectly timed. If they don't kill the Heaven player, they won't get it out. And now they do, but they destroy the lockdown, and all of a sudden, this looks very possible for the defenders if they're quick to get on the ball. That
spike will go down quite easily. They have a Rolling Thunder on top of that, too. This is going to be very difficult for CLG Red to try to retake. They have to try to get as much information as they can, but who do they have that actually died? It's Benita, so that's a lot of utility that's going to be lost for them to try to retake this site. Elise now, Hannah with that camera is just going to randomly tag through the smoke and catch one, but Madison and Stephanie are still holding their grounds. It's going to be so tough for Rise right now. I think at this point she should try to save, especially on a 2 versus 1 and a Rolling Thunder that's available. But she's committed. She's looking down right now. One towards the house, one at the A main, and Tyre peeks out at the right moment, and they secure the round. I gotta stop saying that I'm going to be surprised here. They're looking very complete as a team for OWA OWA.
I mean, I'm going back on my stats and like, where did I miss something? Hold on a second. Did I not read this situation okay? I'm generally a pretty adept analyst. I can generally read numbers pretty damn well and have a good indication as to what's going to happen on this map. This, not really what I expected to happen. And I think a lot of other people who are watching, who even know a couple of these players on this team, didn't expect that either.
So more power continue on, and we're changing the pace a little bit here for the defender side. We have put some Nebulas early into the round for the attackers, and we're trying to take advantage of it because Benita's right in it. She's going to go for the recon dart. It's actually going to ping out one player. So nobody's shot it off because Madison's by herself towards this mid side, but they are playing a very slow default here, Jess.
Yeah, you can see them waiting with bated breath. Will someone peek over to mid? I think it'll be the Sova. It'll be the first one to breach through the smoke there. You can see Benita is the one trying to make it happen. Maddie as well. It's not really going to give away her position, and she also knows that she's going to possibly have a little bit of intel to work with. I'm telling you what, some of these weapons today, Vans, they're made of plastic because they're just not working.
Oh yeah, they're just shooting plastic pebbles or blank shots, something like that. It was so close on a chest shot, but to sum it up, we are allowing OWA OWA to get into an open B side right after that kill. So it's going to be an easy plant. Again, a half buy for CLG Red because they want to get their money and economy right into the next round finally. And you still see that they're trying things out with the utilities to try to retake, but it just doesn't seem strong enough.
Cage triggered.
They knew this was a strong position last time for players to hold over towards B main for a crossfire, and most teams have shown really good prowess with that. As the retake occurs, that's a good first pick, but the trades are far too strong for OWA. It's the pack mentality here, Van Silly. That's what we're saying. Can I get an OWA in chat? Because look, these girls, they know exactly how to pick up on each other's trades.
They're definitely bringing the pain over to CLG Red, so they're living up to their tagline so far. But the thing is, now that the money is finally right, what have they noticed here for CLG Red? What can they do? How do you read OWA OWA in the past 7 rounds that they've played on the attacker side that they could maybe adapt to?
Biggest thing for me is that they're pushing the defenders back and then committing to a push. They're not questioning themselves. I'm thinking about when they're pushing over towards A, they're making their way up A main, they're pushing Naomi back into tree, for example. That's a good indication that they're confident about what they're about to achieve with their execution. You got to stop the execution, and if you don't, have a better retake plan, Vans, because there's nothing in between.
Yeah, I get that too. And even now you're seeing that orb at the beginning of the round, and you have recon dart, that's trying to ping some players out. It will work. So this is going to force an early rotation out towards this B side from that Killjoy for CLG Red, and even force a wall up. But again, the map control seems to continue to be... They don't have that much right now, Jess, but they're still getting that map control because you said it. They're pushing him back, and now they have full mid side.
Just spotting out the amount of time we have left, working out when you're looking at the minimap, you're always trying to guesstimate in your head as to what the intention of these players are. And you can always tell that when they back up on a B main heavy push, that they'll either wrap back to it and hope that they've thought that they've rotated eventually, or that they'll work on a rotation themselves. They've actually snuck Maddie all the way up into Pizza. Market control is hers. Door will be shot down. Yet again, another B play.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a split, especially with that Rolling Thunder that's actually going to tag their own teammate. But Madison still tries to get into right-click, misses, but she does connect onto the first kill. Animal trades it back. She's still in the back of the bow house, and she's just getting pinged out from that recon dart. She's getting spammed through, and that already leaves one player remaining towards that B main, and she was heard running through the cyber cage. She does manage to get the kill onto Stephanie. Down to a 3-on-1. She does have that showstopper, but she's creeping in slowly up towards this sidewalk. A shock dart just from behind, but Carly with the crosshair placement makes it easy, makes it look easy, and makes it even look easier when you look at the scoreboard.
This scoreboard shocks me. Shocks me down to my absolute core, because we did say that there is a solid foundation for CLG Red. I even brought up the fact that they had absolutely flawless, I believe, Vixens or whoever I brought up in the pre-show. You know, my notes are absolutely all over my screen right now because I'm trying to dissect this puzzle, because at the moment I had all the corner pieces and now I'm worried they're not the right corner pieces anymore.
Okay, I'm getting it drilled in my mind. OWA OWA. I got it.
You got it. You got it, Vans. It's like a little dog. Like, ow, ow, that hurts. Wah.
All right, like,
Ow.
wah is it a chihuahua, right? Ow, chihuahua.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, ow. Yes.
We're going to get it. We're going to get it at some point. When I just drilled it at the pass, how should I say it? But now I figured it out. We're going to try to just roll it smoothly as we're going to bring it through the broadcast. But OWA OWA right now, again, 7-1 in the scoreline. We do have a pause to come out. And I think at this point, it's desperately needed for CLG Red, Jess. They're on an eco right now. They have full shares. And from this setup, it seems to still be default. I guess they're changing their Killjoy in positions right now for Naomi because they can't really seem to find an answer right now to how the attackers are playing it.
I really don't think there is an answer just yet. I think, like I said before, you only have 2 options and you need to work out what best works, and that's through trial and error. And unfortunately, when you're in the middle of a match, that's the worst time to trial and error.
Well, they're trying things out right now with Chobo. She does have a Marshall in the back of Catwalk, but she's about to get met very closely by a couple of players here from OWA OWA, and it's going to be Madison. Surprise, you scope down, Madison's just crouching around there, but Animal still pushes forward to even a tally up on a 4-4. They've taken this A-side control for CLG Red. They do have the orb. They're going to get the res ready into the next round, and Naomi trying to go for the off angle, but she's getting pushed, and that's where that breach comes out strong with the flashpoint. And wow, they're actually pushing all the way through spawn to B. This is one of those rare strats that I haven't seen actually at all. You're going through Catwalk to spawn to B.
I think overall, and I think Maddie did this in the previous round, she'd snuck her way all the way up, past Bike, past Pizza, up to Market, and she said to herself, well, actually, that's a weakness area that we're seeing here from the defenders. She's made use of it again, but this time she brought all the pack with her. Why not?
Well, as she brought the pack, you still have Rise at B main that was able to collect a weapon. So they have a one-person deficit, make that even Madison on that flank, blocked off by the wall to make it a 2 versus 2 inside the B site. Now as the Q comes up from the updraft, Animal's able to get the kill. We have 2 players that are low on HP in the back of the site. That's 7 HP for Stephanie as she's the last one to go. It's a 1 versus 1. She capitalizes on the other kill onto Animal with 7 HP and makes it 8-1 right now for Ouch. That hurts. Owa Owa.
Oh my god, Vans. No. No. I'm going to shut you down right there, mate, because you're not about to join any wolf pack with that kind of pronunciation to begin with. So I have to shut you down. And not only that, speaking about pronunciation, a lot of people have been commenting that they're worried that the voice actress for Sky is currently casting this game. What do you have to say? What do you have to say about that?
I think that's great. I mean, if that's you, perfect hair, perfect voice, we need you in this game. Welcome to the scene.
Oh, thanks, fans. This has been an absolute pleasure to be involved. What it's not been a pleasure in is being absolutely mind-boggled by what's happening to CLG Red right now. If you're a CLG fan, you're thinking to yourself, this shouldn't happen. CLG was pretty poised to do quite well. Caught up in that Hunter's Fury. Ouch, that's going to hurt, but it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, no one really takes too much damage from that, which is a bit of a shame because they knew where the push was coming from originally.
Yeah, but at least you get a pulse out, right? So I like the fact that CLG Red has changed the pace, the aggression coming back towards that B side, and they get the kill. Instead of playing an off angle towards B main like Rise kind of did, they tried to push out, they got a kill, they got a pulse, they got some information, but now things have slowed down. Just at this point, it still might not be out of the frying pan for CLG Red with a one-woman advantage.
I agree, because you can have a look at a couple of those players right now. They're sussing out the market up mid push, and we said last time, in fact, 2 rounds in a row, they gave this a shot. Carly will take out Benita, and that's a good pick there. And now that they do have this market control, they're going to have to burst door down, make it all happen on a B, because when you got 25 seconds left and Rise misses their shots, you can capitalize on this. You just got to grab Naomi.
Back of the site, they know that Naomi's back there, and it's going to be a shock dart to take her down. And now we have Stephanie in the back of the site and a showstopper that swings through and a res to come out at the same time. So you're still at a one-person disadvantage for CLG Red. The spike has now been planted for the attackers of OWA OWA. Got it. And now Stephanie's still alive with the fault line, just trying to slow things down towards that spawn. We have 2 players here, CLG Red, trying to rotate back from the market side. They're both going to get spotted by Carly, and it's her turn with the Hunter's Fury. There's that ping, there's that first hit, there's a low HP, and Stephanie gets the kill onto Rise as she's trying to run down that staircase as the Hunter's Fury pulses from the attacker side. But with the 4-on-2, we're just going to try to make our opponents lose their weapon inside this B site. We're saving our weapons for CLG Red, but at the end of the line, the end of the day, it's still going to be the attacker side taking the round.
Oh, that was really important kill there. You might not have thought it was, but Animal actually would have been able to get away with that had she have just picked it up and ran. Rather than flipping the 180 and trying to grab that kill, I actually think she could have sped over towards Market and hidden herself as the round would have ended. Maybe she would have lost it if they hunted her down, if the pack went after her. But overall, I think that round was a little bit of a shaky one for both sides. The retake was very possible there, and I said, as the attackers come in, if they can slap Maddie down, they've got a really good access to site. They ended up shocking her to death, which is, hey, better than having to use any of your ammunition. Why not? But I'm worried for CLG Red because there have been opportunities for retakes they haven't capitalized.
And they're trying something different. Aggression now towards the A side. The fault line to try to counter back. And as you talked about Madison in that pregame, the person to highlight into this game, she has been popping off into this game with 2 trades of her own and back on a 1-player advantage for the attacker side.
That was a beautiful bit of aggression. Maddie obviously thrives under pressure, and she does a lot of these flashy plays. It's why we highlighted her, as you sort of referenced before. My problem is you can't come in, have that early bit of aggression, and then question yourself in the rest of the round. Carry that momentum, girlfriend. Bring your team with you because you can end up into a really good position.
This is crazy. I'm looking at the minimap, and we have Sova just breaking the the trap wire towards A main. So did they still think that the hit was happening towards the A side? Now this is going to be a little bit difficult for CLG Red for the retake, because now OWA OWA has the advantage on the flank from the Cypher on mid.
You are divided.
We've also got a lockdown pending as well, 7 seconds, and that's going to come crashing down. Hannah will grab Rise, and is that corner going to be safe enough for Carly there? We'll find out. It possibly is, and no players get detained, so that's what they're after. What is this wall called, Van Silly? I don't even know its name just yet, but it's a damn beautiful one.
It's a beautiful indeed. So the Divine coming out here, the Cosmic Divide, and at the same time with the lockdown just made things so difficult here for CLG Red for that retake. It was a little bit overkill, as I would say that they had players advantage for the attacker side, but at the end of the day, you only have one more round to go and you're just dominating 10-1 so far, Jess. So, I mean, you can have that confidence all you want to use whatever you want at this point.
I would say give it a go, experiment with it. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not give it a go? Because we said before for CLG Red, you don't want to be trial and error in the middle of a game. But if you're OWA OWA, go nuts. Go nuts, girlfriend. Let it rip. You've got all of those deficit rounds to work. You got 9 different buffer rounds to work with before you even have to really worry. Don't break a sweat. Let it go. So I want to see some experimental things here. And you know what? Shout out to Yinsu, who's probably watching this right now going, oh, it's a Sage wall. We're seeing it. The Sage. Let's go. I'm loving it. It's a great map for it. Oh, what a flick.
Yeah, that was beautiful from Hannah, because it was a beautiful alert from Benita towards mid. They also pushed 2 players up towards Catwalk for a big flank towards A. So they know this hit is coming on the A side, but the thing is they've lost that player. They've lost the important Sova again, and now it comes down to a very hard hold by Animal that she has to do at the beginning of the round. She's going to let them through, and even on that flank, they're ready for that too. Look at that. They're just dropping like flies. Only 2 more to go here for CLG Red in this last round on a 5 versus 2 of all situations.
What a shame, a beautiful flank, and then they were 180'd in the end. That is the worst outcome. When you put in a beautiful flank like that, you are undetected for the most part to begin with, and it's not until you start shooting that you get flicked on. That is not how you want to play a really crucial flank position like that. My heart drops here for CLG Red, because I just think to myself, that could have been a really big play. That could have been a difference maker, a momentum shifter. It's not going to be it, Vans. When's it coming? Because we're out of time. We're
out of time. This is another one of those situations where the pistol round is dire. And my understanding here, Jess, is that you were semi-pro and even coach, if I'm not mistaken, for Penta at some point in your career.
I was.
So what do you tell your teammates at this point? What should be going on from the IGL, from the leader of Benita to tell her team, we got this?
I always used to tell my players, if you are so far behind, let's say like you're in my game of Siege when I was a professional coach then, you know, you're several rounds behind to the point you're on almost on match point, and whatever you've tried adaptation-wise or whatever isn't working, go crazy. Go crazy. I tell my players, you have to go crazy now, because if all of the other steps in the recipe haven't worked, then now you just got to free flow it. Do something you do in a ranked match. Pull something out that you've not pulled out before, and work with your teammates to have it on the fly, because all of the structured strategies so far haven't worked. So, and I believe it was Einstein who said it, you know, you're crazy if you retry the same thing over and over and expect a different result. That's the definition of craziness. That's what CLG is doing here. You can't repeat. It's not going to bring a different outcome anymore, girls.
Well, and anybody else that's crazy so far in the server would be Madison for me at this point, even Hannah, but they're getting the positive end of their craziness because they're top fragging in this server so far, and they've done a great job. I mean, even look at Stephanie. I've questioned the breach, maybe not an Ascent, but I'm liking what I'm seeing, because she's at 11 assists right now. Madison's at 17 kills. It means that the synergy with these 2 players have been perfect for this map, and I'm actually looking forward to see what it's going to look like on Icebox.
I did say on both of these teams, and especially when I regarded Maddie as being one of those big plays, is that she had enablers. There you go. Stephanie's the enabler. Today, on this particular map, even though they haven't been able to convert all of those kills, which is why KD is not the most important statistic, start looking away from it, ladies and gentlemen, because I tell you what, you can have this scoreline and be popping 20-plus kills, and it still makes sense, because you can look over the other team, and their synergy and coordination far outweighs yours. That's what you got to be thinking about.
Well, now you need the synergy, all the synergy you need here for CLG Red to try to muster up this pistol round. It seems as though they were trying to go for some sort of a map control towards the A long to start things off, but you still have the spike holding down towards the B lane. Hannah, the confidence oozing out of OWA OWA, comes out for the kill in that B main, and already it's not looking good for CLG Red.
Oh, no way. I just wanted them to do something crazy. I mean, they don't have to do a rush, but they don't have to do something insane. But when you're getting onto a pistol round, you have to do a team effort. You have to try and overwhelm your opponents to try and get that numbers advantage early on in the round and make something come of it. Because now, at least for CLG, being on the back foot on a pistol round on essentially what is going to be match point, you have to win this round. The pressure is so immense on top of you. And then when one of your teammates dies, the comms are going to be low. The mentality is going to be low, Van, so they've got to pick it up now.
And it's desperate meshes, right? All 4 players moving out towards the A main, and that was a perfect flash coming out from the breach. And now Stephanie back at the generator, still connects with the kill. And the silver shock darts are good enough for at least a couple, but Benita is still on a 2 versus 1 with only 20 seconds. She can't fall back. She has to commit into this site, but that is to recharge her recon dart and knows that one is up towards that heaven side, trying to close this door, trying to peek through, gets the dink, but unfortunately not the kill onto Tyre, and that is going to be map point for OWA OWA.
I couldn't believe it. She had made that door play so perfect, and I thought to myself, this is it. You can run on in. You might even be able to get a spike plant down if you get that heaven kill. Things can work in your favor. And then she peaks, and my heart drops as quickly as she drops straight after that death. Vans, This is not it. We wanted a close matchup. We just watched C9 White completely decimate Frogs. Now we're on to the Dogs decimating the CLG Red. I mean, this is just crazy.
It is insane, and look at that, it continues, and they're just going to try to push as a group, and it's already being stopped by Hannah. Perfect cyber cage onto the ground, but an even better paranoia to come out, but Carly's there for the trade. Only 2 more to try to keep this dream alive here for CLG Red on this first map, but it will not happen. Stephanie to lock down the last kill and put OWA OWA on the first map in this series.
Are we surprised after how the first half went, Vans, that OWA OWA are walking away with the win? I tell you what, when I was a C9 White fangirl, I was like, you know what? I know a lot about C9 White, but I don't really know much about OWA OWA. Now I'm going to be in chats going hashtag OWA OWA every time they damn play because they've got a new fangirl in me after that performance.
Yeah,
here.
you definitely got to pull out those dog emojis into the chat at that point now. Every time you see the dominance coming out of this team. Again, this is the beauty of looking at these matches where you don't have a lot of footage against these teams. It's basically the first time that you're facing off against each other for all of these teams in the top 8 right now for the Game Changers. And it comes down to, yes, you said it here, Jess. You could be as prepared as you want. You could have footage against you. You could have footage for you. But it also may not work out once you meet your opponent face-to-face, and we've seen how that was a surprise coming in here for CLG Red versus OWA OWA. But, sorry, just caught something in my throat. I think it's a frog. No, it's a chihuahua. But now it's to say, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will see Map 2 of this series, and see if CLG Red could come back in Icebox.